Since the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Hare Krishna. Good morning, everyone.
With that, they can hear you?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Today we'll be reading from the 10th canto, chapter 61, text 7 through 23. So before I begin, we're going to read and hear a lot of names. And I was hearing in a lecture from Keshava Bharti Maharaj. He does these daily readings of Srimad Bhagavatam. And in the 9th canto, there are a lot of lineages and names. And so what he says is that we don't have to recollect all of them, but it is just purifying just even to hear, because all of these names are in relation to Krishna. They're in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is non-different than Krishna, the literary incarnation of Krishna. Thereby, just even hearing it and letting these names waft over our consciousness is purifying. So with that, I will go ahead and read through the translations. Text 7. Among Lord Krishna's wives, each of whom had 10 sons, I previously mentioned 8 principal queens. I shall now recite for you the names of those 8 queens' sons, headed by Pradyumna. The first son of Queen Rukmini was Pradyumna, and also born of her was Charudeshna, Sudeshna, and the powerful Charudeya. Also, I will pronounce a lot of these incorrectly, so please excuse my Sanskrit. Along with Shucharu, Charugupta, Bhadacharu, Charuchandra, Vicharu, and Charu, and Charu the 10th. None of these sons of Lord Hari was less than his father. Big statement. Text 10 through 12. The 10 sons of Satyabhama were Banu, Subhanu, Swarbhanu, Prabhanu, Bhanuman, Chandrabhanu, Bhadrabhanu, Atibhanu, the 8th, Shribhanu, and Pratibhanu. Samba, Sumitra, Purujit, Satajit, Sahasrajit, Vijaya, Chitraketu, Vasuman, Dravida, and Tratu were the sons of Jambavati. These 10, headed by Samba, were their father's favorites. Text 13. The sons of Nagnajiti were Vira, Chandra, Ashvasena, Chitragu, Vegavan, Visha, Ama, Shanku, Vasu, and the opulent Kunti. Text 14. Shruta, Kavi, Virsa, Vira, Sambhav, Bhadra, Shanti, Dasha, and Purnamasa were sons of Kalindi. Her youngest son was Somaka. Text 15. Translation. Madra's sons were Pragosh, Gadrava, Simha, Bala, Prabhala, Udaga, Mahashakti, Saha, Oja, and Aparajit. Text 16. Translation. Mitravinda's sons were Virka, Harsa, Anila, Gridra, Vardhana, Unada, Mahamsa, Avana, Vani, and Sudni. Text 17. Translation. Sangramajit, Bratasena, Sura, Praharana, Arjit, Jaya, and Subhadra were the sons of Bhadra, together with Vama, Arur, and Satyaka. Text 18. Translation. Diptiman, Tamratapta, and others were the sons of Lord Krishna and Rohini. Lord Krishna's son Pradyumna fathered the greatly powerful Aniruddha in the womb of Rukmavati, the daughter of Rukmi. O king, this took place while they were living in the city of Ojakata. All right, stick with me. A few more verses. Text 19. Translation. My dear king, the sons and grandsons of Lord Krishna's children numbered in the tens of millions. Whoa. 16,000 mothers gave rise to this dynasty. Text 20. Translation. King Parikshit said, how could Rukmi give his daughter to his enemy's son? After all, Rukmi the sister of Rukmi, had been defeated by Lord Krishna in battle and was waiting for an opportunity to kill him. Please explain this to me, O learned one, how these two inimical parties became united through marriage. Text 21, translation, mystic yogis can perfectly see that which has not yet happened, as well as things in the past or present, beyond the senses, remote or blocked by physical objects or obstacles. Text 22, translation, Sri Shukadeva Goswami said, at her Swayamvara ceremony, Rukamavati herself chose Pradumna, who was the re-embodiment of Cupid. Then, although he fought alone on a single chariot, Pradumna defeated the assembled kings in battle and took her away. Text 23. Translation, though Rukmi always remembered his enmity toward Lord Krishna, who had insulted him, in order to please his sister, he sanctioned his daughter's marriage to his nephew. Okay, that is all of our prescribed verses for today. So today, let's focus on text 19. So I'll read the Sanskrit for this one time through, and then we'll read the translation and do our invocations and go from there. Text 19. Eta samputra potrascha babuva kotisho nipa matara Krishna jatinam sahasrani chasodasha. Translation, my dear king, the sons and grandsons of Lord Krishna's children numbered in the tens of millions. 16,000 mothers gave rise to this dynasty. There's no purport for this translation, so I will go ahead and offer our invocations now. Om Jnana Timidandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Militanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My spiritual masters are kindly offering me the torchlight of knowledge by which I can see the truth. I offer my respectful obeisances unto them. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavare Paschatya Tarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay. Hare Krishna. So I'll read that translation one more time. My dear king, the sons and grandsons of Lord Krishna's children numbered in the tens of millions. 16,000 mothers gave rise to this dynasty. So it's very amazing here. We can see the question here is how to give rise to a dynasty, how to get rise of a wonderful family. And Krishna, as he does, has performed this activity beyond anyone's wildest imaginations or capacity or ability. So I'd like to take this time to glorify how wonderful is Krishna.
All right.
How wonderful is Krishna. I'm taking from you, Adi Prabhu. How wonderful is it that he, although he's eternal, self-satisfied, he comes to this world just to give us these wonderful topics in which to discuss about him. Who else can come to this planet and have such sweet pastimes, lifting Govardhan Hill, protecting the Vrajvasis, defeating so many antagonistic forces, and then later going off to develop such wonderful kingdoms. And in here, having 16,108 wives, through which he had 10 children from each of them. And that lineage quickly expanded into a dynasty in the tens of millions. Who else can do like this? Who else but Krishna? Now, I was actually reading in the 11th canto recently, my personal reading, about how this dynasty later becomes cursed by Krishna's arrangement. So when Krishna comes to this planet, he comes with all of his associates. And so we can see that from revealed scriptures that these associates are eternal associates. These residents of Dwarka are eternal associates of the Lord, and they can only be defeated. They actually can't be defeated by anyone in the world. So Krishna's mission was to relieve the burden of this world. He says that he comes every yuga, some bhavani yuge. Purichanaya sadhanam vinashaya tajuskutam dharma samstapanarya sambhavami yuge. To deliver the pious and annihilate the miscreants, as well as to reestablish the principles of religion, he comes every millennium after millennium. And so the last part of his mission was to take his own associates when he's leaving this planet. And so by this arrangement, he had the Brahmanas curse his family so that they would depart in a certain particular way. But one of the crucial facts that they mentioned in this 11th canto was that those who can claim to be part of Krishna's dynasty can take some false prestige. Oh, I am born directly in this lineage of Krishna, thereby I am better than others. Similar to this caste Brahmana mentality, that although I may have no qualities of a Brahmana, I was born in the family of a Brahmana. My parents were Brahmanas, thereby I am a Brahmana. This mentality leads one to have false pride and think that they are better than others without the proper qualifications of, for this example, of Brahmana. So we can see this even in our modern tradition. There are those who identify themselves as directly in the lineage of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, who had wife and had family. But this is completely rejected by all the Vedic conclusions, and in the 11th canto, disciples of Srila Prabhupada source from our acharyas about this fact, that the true qualification comes from our own individual connection from Krishna. In fact, this is the point that I'm trying to make here. We are all in the family of Krishna. We are all in the family of Krishna. Every living entity comes from Krishna. In the Sri Upanishad, it is said, Om Purnam Adam Purnam Idam, that he is the supreme source. And from that source, all other sources come, all other units come, and they are complete in themselves. And so we all emanate from that supreme being Krishna, and thus we are all children of the Lord. We are all actually in that family. Now, there's one comparison I'd like to draw from Krishna's dynasty in this particular pastime to Srila Prabhupada's mission in this world. There was one time, I believe it was in Gainesville, Florida. He was giving a lecture at the University of Florida. And he was describing how there can be acharyas made. Acharya means a teacher, one who teaches, one who practices, and one who studies the practice. This is an acharya. And so he said, by this process of Krishna consciousness, we can have so many acharyas. And those hundreds of acharyas, they will teach other students, and they will become acharyas. And then there will be thousands of acharyas. And from those thousands of acharyas, there will be more, and there will be millions of acharyas, just like this verse is saying here today, numbered in the tens of millions. So Prabhupada, in this meditation of there being tens and millions of acharyas over the world, and thus the whole world becoming Krishna conscious, in this meditation, he went into a trance. He went into an ecstatic trance. And so we can relish with deep gratitude all that Srila Prabhupada has done to establish this family all over the world with the purpose of developing consciousness of Krishna, awareness of Krishna, and sharing this Krishna consciousness. We don't feel complete just by ourselves obtaining the goal of life. We also want to share it with others. And so, Hare Krishna. And so this leads us to ask the question, how to share this Krishna consciousness? And to answer this question, I'd like to refer to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's own example. As we know, Lord Chaitanya is Krishna himself. And he came to this world to play the role of a devotee, to exhibit for us how to become devotees. And so, to exhibit this so wonderfully, the Lord's pastimes are always amazing, eternally relishable. This Gora Hari, this Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in his childhood pastimes, before he started the Sankirtan movement, he was actually a great Pandit. In fact, he was known all over the land of Navadvip as Nimai Pandit. And so this Nimai Pandit, Nimai means the neem tree, and he was born under the neem tree from Sachimata. And so thus he was named Nimai. Pandit means wise scholar. And so he, being the supreme personality of Godhead, he is actually the source of all knowledge and all intelligence. And recently, when we had the chance to visit Mayapur, I got to visit the place where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu studied. I forget which island, but there is this very wonderful temple. And at this place, he studied under Gangadas Pandit. And he was so brilliant. It parallels the pastime of Lord Krishna when he went to Gurukul and he learned all, I believe, the 64 arts in 64 days. Similarly, Lord Chaitanya came and with rapt attention and great love for his spiritual master, his great love for his teacher, Gangadas Pandit, learned all of these subjects beyond anyone's wildest dreams. He was so learned, so intelligent, that he would pose an argument. He would give some argument and ask all of his students, or not his students, his classmates, try to defeat this argument. And please understand, Navav at the time in India, the most famous thing that you could do, the most thing you could do or be to be popular is to be a pandit, to be a wise scholar. Today, modern day, you might be famous if you can sing very nicely, or if you can perform a sport very nicely, or if you have a lot of money and you're very philanthropic. In India, at this time, when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu descended 500 years ago, intelligence, that's what made you famous, if you were a great scholar. And out of all of India, all schools of knowledge, in Navadvip was the gem crest jewel for all learning and education. This was the pinnacle of places to go and study, and where all these many great scholars were coming from. And in that place of Navadvip, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was the greatest scholar, Nimai Pandit. And so he posed this question before his classmates and said, try to defeat it. You're all great, wise, learned personalities. Try to defeat this argument. And they would be bewildered. Everything they would give, Lord Chaitanya would destroy that argument. And they would finally give up and say, you're right, Nimai Pandit. This argument is correct without a doubt. It is the final conclusion. And hearing this, Nimai Pandit would then take his own argument and defeat it and establish a new argument. And then he would ask them, try to defeat this argument. And everything that they said he would defeat, unable to defeat this second argument. And he would give up. Nimai Pandit, you are correct. This is according to the Shastra. This is perfect knowledge. This is the conclusion. You know what you would do after that? Then he would defeat his second argument and establish a third argument. And then defeat that argument and reestablish the original argument. No one could defeat Nimai Pandit. And although he had so much great learning at this stage of his pastimes, he was not actually a devotee. He was not actually a Vaishnava. And he would only teach and speak about grammatical knowledge and logic. He was a logician. And so he would only talk about grammatical conjugations and logic. Mm-hmm. And the devotees of the Lord, they didn't have any interest in it. They only want to hear about Krishna. They only want to hear about Krishna. And so Nimai Pandit, in a very bold mood, he would go and find and chastise these Vaishnavas. he would go and challenge them in such a way that the Vaishnavas would be so conflicted because he's so beautiful and he's so learned and he's actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They may not be fully aware, but they're so attracted to him because he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But they can't be around him. He only talks about this dry logician and logistical topics and grammatical functions. We can't, tolerate being around him, and he's so challenging. But like this, Nimai Pandit would go and find these Vaishnavas and challenge them. For example, there was one time Gadadhar Pandit. When Gadadhar he's part of the Panchatattva, who was actually the Hadini potency manifested in Lord Chaitanya's Leela. At seeing Nimai, he would try to run. He would try to run the other direction. And he would grab Gadadhar Pandit and said, "You are a Pandit? I have a question for you." And he would say, "What is the meaning of mukti? What is the meaning of mukti?" And Gadadhar Pandit, mukti means liberation from the cycle of birth and death. This is mukti. And Nimai Pandit would say, "No, that's not correct." And he would come up with all these different conclusions and different things and finally destroy Gadadhar Pandit's conclusions. And after going back and forth like this, Nimai Pandit would say, "All right, I'm done for today. You go home and study your books, and I'll be back tomorrow with more questions for you." So in this way, the Vaishnavas were very conflicted. They were just crying out, how can this Nimai Pandit become a Vaishnava? If he became a Vaishnava, this Krishna consciousness would be spread all over the world. And this is the beginning of how to share Krishna consciousness. In Madhurya Kandamani, by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, I had the great honor of studying under Vamsi Badam Prabhu in Mayapur, under the Mayapur Institute. In this Madhurya Kandamani by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, he says the first thing is for a person to receive the mercy of a Vaishnava. And how this happens is that Vaishnava thinking, what if this person was a devotee? Krishna, please show your mercy, show your kindness to this devotee. That is the first thing on how to share this Krishna consciousness. So when we're walking the streets, no matter where we are, and we're seeing people, we can think, just what if they were a devotee? What if they were to receive the grace of the Lord and ecstatic love of Sri Harinam Sankirtan in their life? Krishna's grace, Krishna's beauty. How wonderful that would be. And so this was the beginning of Nimai Pandit's becoming a Vaishnava, the devotee's mercy. So like this, Nimai Pandit, skipping many, many wonderful pastimes, when his father passed away, Jagannath Mishra, due to separation, he had a dream that Nimai Pandit would take sannyas, and that very idea was so traumatizing to his heart that he, from separation, left his body. And so, like this, Nimai Pandit went to Gaya to perform the ritual ceremonies for family members who have passed away. And in Gaya, Sri Nimai Pandit met his spiritual master, I believe Ishvara Puri. And through that conversation, through that association, it said that just by a moment's association with a pure devotee, one can attain to this or get the taste, get the inclination to take to Krishna consciousness. And so by that association with Ishvara Puri, serving him and hearing from him, he surrendered to Ishvara Puri as his spiritual master. And Ishvara Puri gave him the instruction, chant the names of the Lord. And following the instructions of the spiritual master is another keynote. We have to follow the instructions of the spiritual master, because by the grace of the spiritual master, yes, prasada, Bhagavat prasada, yes, prasada, Bhagavat prasada, yes, prasada, nagati bhutopi. Only by the grace of the spiritual master can we advance. Without that mercy, there is no advancement. So by following the instructions of the spiritual master, we become imbued with that spiritual potency, and then we can share that potency with others. So Lord Chaitanya personally exhibited this by following the instructions of his spiritual master, Ishvarapuri. And immediately he develops this ecstatic love for Krishna. And so when he came back to Navadvip, now a full-fledged Vaishnava, everyone was bewildered. Previously, Nimai Pandit in Mayapur and Navadvip, he would wonder why these Vaishnavas are always running away from him. And his students would not know, think, oh, maybe they just had some other thing to do. And he said, no, these Vaishnavas are running away from me because all they want to hear about is Krishna. They want to hear about nothing else but Krishna. And now as this same Nimai Pandit, traveling back from having surrendered to his spiritual master, he is relishing the nectarian names of Krishna. And now when he is teaching his same students, he can't help but talk about Krishna. To his students, they are asking, what is this verbal root? What does this mean? And Nimai Pandit, trying to still be a teacher to his students, now he has his own students, he would begin, this root suffix means, and then he would go into an ecstatic trance. Every word, every letter, every vowel, every consonant, every space even between the letters, they all mean Krishna. They all mean Krishna. They all represent Krishna. And then he would go into ecstatic trance for hours, just glorifying Krishna. And then afterwards, he would come out of the trance and his students would be bewildered. Like, our question wasn't answered. And Nimai Pandit would ask, what did I say? He was in such a trance, he didn't even remember. What did I say? And he said, I don't know. He just asked about this grammatical prefix, and you just went into an ecstatic trance for 4 hours talking about Krishna. And he's like, well, did I answer the question? He was like, no. And at this time, he realized, my students, please, I must resign from being your teacher. Because after taking to this Krishna consciousness, I can no longer speak about anything else but Krishna. And this time, it's you don't just leave one teacher and go to another. It's a very formal relationship. You take shelter of them with great loyalty. And so Nimai Pandit was giving them sanction. Please go and find another teacher because I can no longer teach. But these students, they said, once having a teacher like you, how can we accept any other teacher? Let's forget the grammatical conjugations. Teach us how to chant these names of Krishna. And in that assembly, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began the Harinam Sankirtan mission and taught them how to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And this is how the Harinam Sankirtan mission was born. So in this pastime of Sri Chaitanya Prabhu, he exhibits how we can expand this family of Krishna consciousness by receiving the mercy of the Vaishnavas, by serving the spiritual master, by taking to the instructions with our life and soul and sharing it with whomever we meet, especially our intimate associates, and wishing it for all that we see. This is how we expand our family of Vaishnavas, our family of devotees to the Lord. In fact, it's notably said that one of the great Vaishnavas in Navadvip, once they heard, Nimai Pandit has become a Vaishnava, Nimai Pandit has become a Vaishnava, Nimai Pandit has become a Vaishnava. The senior devotee, I forget his name, I apologize. The senior devotee, he's quoted saying, may our family of Vaishnavas expand. May our family of Vaishnavas expand. And so like this Srila Prabhupada, by the grace of Srila Prabhupada, coming to America alone, well, we know he had Krishna and his spiritual master in his heart, but physically alone, he gave the whole world this opportunity to join this ecstatic family of loving Krishna. And now we have the chance, we have the opportunity, we have the responsibility to share it with the world. Hare Krishna. In this way, our family will extend to tens and tens of millions, unlimitedly it will expand. So with that, I thank you very, very much. Hare Krishna. And now I'd like to open it. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. Please forgive me if I've spoken anything wrong or incorrect. I'd like to open it to questions, comments, corrections. Any feedback or comments is very welcome. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
All right.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Oh, wonderful, wonderful class. And the conclusion there, when we speak about how wonderful is Krishna, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Vasudeva, that verse about how once we realize how great Krishna is, then when we serve him, right? Right? Besides understanding how great he is, then, we want to give ourselves to support and assist him in what he's doing. So there's that natural expansion like that, very organically, from being inspired and being connected to a person in the sampradaya and taking shelter. And then there's that story about how Prajapati Daksha had thousands of sons. And his duty was to expand the population. So he sent his sons to go perform austerities, to prepare to get married and produce children. But then Narada Muni came and he preached to them about how there's another way to use our endeavor, our desires, our attention, our facility is to preach, to engage in devotional service. So they all accepted him as guru, because Prajapati Daksha was very angry that his sons became renounced and dedicated brahmacharis. They didn't want to get married. And so they were thinking, well, let us serve our spiritual master. So they all brought him a glass of water. So he had 3,000 glasses of water. And he said, what am I going to do with 3,000 glasses of water? I'm not asking you to elaborately care for my bodily maintenance, although that we do that for the guru. I'm asking you to give what I've given to someone else. When we asked Prabhupada, how can we thank you? He said, if you want to thank me,
share this Krishna consciousness.
Please give what I've given you to someone else. So we are inspired about how wonderful is Krishna, how wonderful is Guru, and then we want to assist them in giving Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada, one time, Buddha Bhavana said to him, well, Prabhupada, we have to specifically desire pure devotional service? Prabhupada said, yes. Not just devotional service, but pure devotional service. Ahitukiya pradiyata, unceasing and unmotivated. And then another devotee said, Prabhupada, well, we see that you want us to be Krishna conscious. Prabhupada said, no. And we're like, what? You don't want us to be Krishna conscious? He says, I don't want you to be Krishna conscious. I want you to give Krishna consciousness. The Babaji sitting at Radhakund chanting his rounds for decades, all day and all night. Certainly he's being Krishna conscious. But if you want to be my disciple, chant 16 rounds and then vigorously preach. Give it, give it, give it. So that's our instruction, that's our desire, and we hope we can please Srila Prabhupada by whatever great or small means we have. And if we do the best we can, Krishna's pleased, may not seem, we don't have to compare ourselves to anybody else.
Mm.
Well, we appreciate the great souls.
Thank you so much.
Regards to Prophet. Hard to contribute to such a wonderful class that you gave.
No, that was a wonderful point, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
You already said it.
It reminds me, one quick note of, because we might feel overwhelmed by this idea of us personally taking on, sharing it with everyone in the world. But that's also why we have the community. We depend on each other. But I like to mention one thing that Kalakanta Prabhu has been sharing a lot recently. His Grace Kalakanta Prabhu mentioned if we just aspire to go back home to the spiritual world with 10 people, that we just try to at least bring 10 people with us. So we can just have that group, like Lord Chaitanya had his group of students. Right? So if we can just aspire to cultivate at least these 10 people, to go back home with these 10 people. So that's one idea. And thank you so much, Adi Purush Prabhu, for echoing that important point of.
It was walking on the course that the mark of a Vaishnava is that he's engaging others in devotional service.
Adi Purush said that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is quoted saying that a mark of the Vaishnava is his sharing it with others. So thank you so much, everyone. Unless there's any other comments, we have about 4 minutes until darshan.
Manohar Prabhu, wonderful class. Thank you very much. A quick question from the chat from Anandi. In the beginning of the class, the speaker mentioned someone who did daily readings of the Bhagavatam. Who is this?
His Holiness Keshava Bharati Maharaj.
Can you put the link in the chat?
Sure thing.
Okay, cool. Thank you. And question, Manohar Prabhu, you said the mark of a Vaishnava is sharing it with others. Others, does that mean the people who are already on the path of bhakti or brand new people? And between those two categories of people, what's more important? Preach bhakti to the new people or to those who are already committed? Which one is more important? Which one is better? Who's better?
I can't really say. I don't know. But the first part of the question was, should we preach to devotees or to newcomers? I believe to refer to Bhagavad Gita, Krishna was explaining that one who reveals this knowledge about him becomes unlimitedly dear, and there is no one more dear to him than he who shares this message. And so to my understanding, that is to everyone, to whoever is willing to hear, whether they've been practicing for a long time or they started practicing yesterday or they have not practiced. It applies to everyone. Now, I've heard, I believe this is from Vaisheshika Maharaj, I think it's an application to something else, but I'll use it in this context. We should spend, in business, it said that we should spend 90% of our time with the 10% of people who are most likely to buy. So at least in practical, personal experience, if we are spending so much time with those who are not ready to hear it, that's also actually an offense to the holy names, to share with those who have no faith in the holy name. That referred to by Satyananda Swami refers to like giving initiation to those who don't have this faith in chanting the holy names, which is why we have the 16 rounds minimum. But as far as sharing the holy name, we go on the street, we ask people to chant the holy name. This is no problem. We should do like this. But to answer, I'm not quite sure, to be honest. I can say which one.
Thank you. And what about our colleagues at work? What about our karmic boss? Are we supposed to preach to them? And what about our family, our parents? Are we supposed to preach to them, our spouses?
We should take inspiration from His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and preach according to time, place, and circumstance. We have to understand where this person is and what they need. If it's been a Vaishnava who's practicing for a long time, we have to see what can I share with them. Does it mean inquiring from them? Does it mean serving them? Does it mean sharing something I've learned with them, speaking with Krishna about them? If it's someone who's new, how can I make them feel welcomed into the family? Does it mean I want to give them an earful of Bhagavad Gita quotes? Are they ready for that? If they are, then do so. If not, what do they need? Do they need to be engaged? Do they need to be heard? Do they need to be, what kind of affection can we share? Bhakti means love and devotion. So how can we share that? And so with our family, that might look like just being their son, being their daughter, just being a good family member to them, being a good parent, sharing Krishna prasadam with them, showing them that we care about them, exchanging sadviti priti lakshanam. From Nectar of Instruction, Srila Rupa Goswami talks about these 6 loving exchanges. And so we will be giving that to them. We'll be giving that to them. And to the Karmi boss, yeah, we just, to the degree, like Krishna says, as those approach me, I reciprocate. To the degree that they're open to receiving, we share.
Maybe one day we'll initiate our karmic boss into our, who knows? Poppy has her hand up.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Manohar Prabhu. I don't have any question, but I just wanted to take the time to share my gratitude for this class, wonderful class how you had. I was smiling left and right and pressing the heart on Zoom, and I just wanted to appreciate how it resonated with me. And I was able to understand your language. It wasn't complex and it was just on the point. And I could see Nimai saying, yes, Manar, yes, Manar, yes, 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 as if like you actually said the message on the point. And yeah, I just wanted to glorify you and glorify Nimai. And I wanted to say thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Papi Mataji. To be honest, in giving the class, I had the realization that I don't have any qualification and I have not studied my slokas properly. And the only thing that came out nicely that I can take credit for is that I was repeating the words I've heard from my spiritual teachers. And so thank you for offering that. I give it straight to them. Looks like we have darshan now. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you. Manohar Prabhu ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Shiva Amudar. Shri Nandini Radhika ki jai. Shri Shirana Muladhara Ki Jai. Shri Guru Chandra Ki Jai. Manohar Prabhu Ki Jai. Wonderful class. There's a question in the chat. We'll address it next time. Krishna Gauda. Thank you. Okay. It's nice seeing everyone's smiling face, bright face. The face is the mark of a Vaishnava, the smile, the glow. One time, the police officers were trying to shut down a Ratha Yatra parade. And the surgeon told them that you spot the ones who have the glow and you take them out, and then the whole thing will fall apart. That's how you spot a Vaishnava. They have a glow, take them out. So if you see someone like Jeffrey Eckler in the crowd, preach to him, share prasadam with him, turn him into a devotee. It'll be a big addition to our sampradaya. Okay. All right. Anyone wants to share anything? Or just me blabbing? Sihan, where are you going?
I have a dentist appointment, so I'm on the bus heading to to the clinic.
All right. Yeah, Sihan, think of Krishna. You'll be very helpless, and it's a good meditation for a Vaishnavi. Krishna, I'm yours. Come with me. I need this smile to please you. All right. Take care, everybody. Happy Monday.